Well, thanks so much, ladies, for your details there on what's working in your business. A little bit about me. I've actually come from working for one of the four largest banks here in Australia for over 20 years. So most people often say to me, hey, Mark, why did you leave your employer of over 20 years? I left 5 years ago mainly because I became a square person in a round hole at the bank. So in other words, the bank was very much focused on the shareholder. I was valued on the relationship and the people I was dealing with, and I was having that taken away from me. So I made a pretty big leap of leaving the employer at that sort of time frame. So I'm based here on the Gold Coast. I've known Chantel for at least 3 years. We're only situated distance-wise, probably less than a kilometre away from each other. And I know Jane's on the Gold Coast as well. So what actually happened, a little bit of background, is that in 2017, that's when the federal government introduced surcharge laws in our country. Now, what I have done, I'm about to show you, is I've developed a range of payment solutions that can be provided to a business, a club, or an association anywhere in Australia, fee-free. So what my products do is my products pass on, and this comes back to an individual owner. So the products I'm about to show you are not necessarily the case where you must say that you want to pass on the cost to your clients. You can say, hey, Mark, I'd rather wear the costs in my business. So you've got option A or B. But what I would like you to start thinking about, and this is probably a word that you've heard a little bit about in the press of late, recession. Have any of you heard of any talk around Australia? Yeah. So as you know, the USA is in recession. UK is looking like it's in recession. It looks like we're going to perhaps go down that same path. So I just want to spend a couple of minutes just talking about that to give you a little bit of an overview. That if we go through a recession, what could that mean for your business and also for your home finances as well? So mainly how it impacts if we're going through a recession, cost reduction in your business has to be paramount. Why? Because people are going to be spending less than what they're spending now. They're going to be cutting back on their payments to you. So in other words, if an impact on your business is that your cash flow is reduced, there's decreased demand for your services, and can also lead to subsequently changing the ways that you do business. Now, one thing I absolutely, for want of a better word, love about all four of you is that you're all have some connectivity online. That's going to be paramount if we go down this path of a recession. Something else, and you all do this as well that you mentioned, which is great. So you provide a recurring payment solution. So I think that's going to be good if we're going through a recession for one particular thing that's coming to mind. And that with a recurring payment solution, it's going to provide you with some cash flow rather than none at all that I went through before. I'd also like to say to you that if we go through a recession, and I've got these feelings from how the four of you talked with a lot of passion and belief in what you do, and I think that's important. But if we go through a recession and we go through what we call an economic downturn, what's going to help you survive is making sure that your customers are your priority, that you do everything you can to help them. One other thing to help you through an economic downturn, believe it or not, and Chantel will laugh at me when I say this, I know that for a fact, networking. So please don't reach out to Chantel. She's let me use this word loosely, a networking junkie, if I can use that word. So I know, Tara, that you're in Adelaide. There's a couple of different networking groups I know of that provide both face-to-face networking, and also for you, Carrie Ann, online networking as well. Chantel came to one of those groups last week with me. So and Miss Jane as well. So what I'd like to do now, if I may, I'm going to start sharing my screen with you and just walk you through exactly what I do. But before I do that, hopefully this screen will work. I hope that you can see this. So I like to call myself the bank fee assassin. So could you all see that? And for Chantel, I don't think Chantel's ever seen that before either. Just when I was talking a bit before about your customers and making sure your customers are paramount, as a result of me, that is 11 seconds of video. By me posting that, let me say, spreading the word on that through all my socials about 5 months ago, in one day, I received over 200 leads as a result of 11 seconds of video. So I just wanted to share that with you, just the power of that. So let me, as we're going through what I'm about to share with you, please, if you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to shout out to me. Let's go here. So as I mentioned to you before, I hope, can you all see that? What's on your screen now, a Zeller terminal? Okay. So this is an FPOS terminal that is a little bit innovative. And I know I'm just sort of giving you this information today as an overview of just letting you know what's out there. From this day forward, you've got my contact details. So Chantel knows me better than most. If at any time you have a question or you're sitting there thinking, will this work in my business, reach out to me. Because quite simply, you're busy in your line of business. You don't get the time to look and know what's out there in the marketplace. That's where I'm. And what I'll do for each of you as well, I'll send you my digital business card after the day as well. So you've got that on your phone, my contact details. So why is this terminal a little bit different? So if you wanted to, right this minute, if you're walking to Officeworks anywhere in Australia, you could walk into Officeworks and buy this terminal over their counter right now for $300. So no more monthly rental costs at all. Yours for life for $300. So Zeller came to me, and they came to me because they knew I was in the marketplace, and I'll show you my other terminal offering. There's a lot of people out there now that, as an example, I came across a client, a new startup only 2 weeks ago, and they went into Westpac of all banks, and Westpac was going to charge them $90 a month just for terminal rental on one terminal. So you're looking at there well over $1,100 a year, whereby if you were to go into Officeworks, you'd buy this at $300, you're $800 a head straight up. So the beauty of this particular device, if I just want to come down, has all the features that you're looking for. Now, the benefit with this particular terminal and why Zeller came to me is they partnered with me. Now, I might just move ours over here a bit. I mentioned that if you know someone that walked into Officeworks, it cost them $300. If they come to me, I can do it for $150. So there's a saving of $150 all up. And this terminal, you'll see 1.4%. So that rate of 1.4% per tapped, dipped or swiped card is whether it be MasterCard, Visa, Amex, FPOS. So the good thing there is, I don't know if you've ever looked at a merchant statement that the banks issue. I was only looking at one today for a winery here on the Gold Coast. And it's becoming much more difficult for business owners to understand their true cost of funds, because this particular merchant statement had 8 different prices for a MasterCard transaction. So if you're in your business and you're thinking, how much is that transaction costing me? You've got really no way of figuring it out, whereby here, 1.4%. Now, why I like this terminal is because MOTO, I don't know if any of you ladies have ever heard of the terminology MOTO. It stands for mail order, telephone order. So in other words, someone phones you up and wants to make a payment to you over the phone using this terminal. The rate would be 1.7%. Now, why this is a little bit different, this particular rate, is that if you went to the likes of the major 4 banks and asked for an FPOS terminal, they're now, for the want of a better word, starting to get cold feet on businesses processing payments in that way over the phone without a card. Here, you don't have that issue. So it's very, very flexible in that way. Before I continue on, any questions regarding that particular terminal?
I have a question.
Yes, Chantal.
Does it provide a URL per each individual product?
No, it doesn't. Can I get you to hold that thought for me, please? I will answer that very shortly for you. Yeah.
Thanks.
This particular one is suited predominantly to people wanting to transact face-to-face and over the phone payments. Now, also that 1.4 or 1.7, you can also surcharge that automatically too if you wanted to. So it's the same rate. So the good thing here, at least you know what you're paying if you're absorbing the fees yourself. There's nothing hidden. And once you pay the 150, there's no monthly rental costs as well. It's yours for life and updated as well. Okay, thank you. I will stop sharing that one and introduce you to the next one here. So, ladies, I'd like to introduce you now to what I call Smart Pay. So 4 years ago, when I came up with a concept on how I wanted an FPOS terminal to function, I'll talk more about this in a moment. Smart Pay were the hardware provider came to me and said, "Hey, Mark, we want to issue that piece of FPOS technology to you." So this particular terminal, I don't know if you've ever experienced, there's nothing worse than you doing a job for someone or providing a service to someone. You use your square tile, you use your NAB, FPOS terminal, whatever it should be to try and accept the payment. Suddenly, you don't have reception. Now, believe it or not, when I was working for that bank I mentioned to you for over 20 years, I was getting that quite often. So what I've designed with this particular FPOS terminal is in the back of it, it has a roaming SIM card. So as an example, I've had two businesses in Kalgoorlie in Western Australia, which is about as remote you can get. And those two businesses came to me 4 months ago and mentioned to me, "Hey, Mark, we're using Commonwealth Bank FPOS terminals. We're getting 5 and 6 outages a day." And you can just imagine how frustrating that would be. They are now using this machine you can see on the screen now, and they are getting no outages a day. So how this, and when I talk about a roaming SIM card in the back of it, it's working on the atmosphere. So in other words, it may be connected to the Telstra signal this minute. If Telstra should fail in the atmosphere, this will search for the strongest signal up there to continue to enable you to make payments no matter where you are in Australia. Now, ideally, this terminal is sort of suited to those people doing a minimum of $10,000 a month of credit card transactions. So this terminal can pass on a surcharge. And if you decide to do that, and you're doing a minimum of $10,000 a month of credit card transactions, this machine is provided to you at no cost. So to give you a rough example, had a business, a restaurant in Melbourne come to me 6 weeks ago, ready to close their doors due to financial hardship. I looked at their merchant statements and they're paying $80,000 a year to the National Bank for 2 FPOS terminals, 80 grand. So I said to them, "What difference would saving 80 grand make to your business?" And they said, "Mark, that would mean we wouldn't have to close our restaurants." So that's what we're now doing. They're now using my machines and passing on a small surcharge. When I talk about a surcharge, people get different connotations in their mind. Small surcharge, as an example, on a $10 sale, you're looking at about 16 cents or $1.65 on $100. So I know we don't have anyone in the restaurant or cafe space on the call today, but if you go to a restaurant, like if I was to take my wife to a restaurant and I've got good service, I'd tip minimum $10. So another $1.65 on top is immaterial to me. So this machine can also be provided where the costs are actually levied back to the business as well. So you can either pass on a levy. Any questions regarding that terminal? Okay, let me move on to, I want to go now to this solution. So, Chantel, you made a comment earlier. Ladies, what this is this is one of my 2 direct debiting solutions. So if you are using Xero accounting software in your business, just put Xero aside for the moment. I'm going to show you a solution I have for Xero in a moment. So this particular solution, when I designed this, I could see the reason that the way we did business was going to change, was going to evolve, and we're going to become much more mobile. Chantel, you made a comment before about a direct debiting agreement. Now, what I provide here is what you can actually see on your screen at the moment. That obviously is a direct debiting agreement. So this agreement gives you the ability to either direct debit your client's credit card or bank account. Now, this is an online portal. So as an example, let's use Chantel as the example. Chantel's out at a client's business talking to them about the packages that she offers. Client says, hey, Chantel, yeah, sure, I want to work with you for $500 a month. Here's my credit card. So what Chantel could effectively do when she's there with that client, she could open up her tablet, iPad, or laptop, and this portal would be available to her to use there and then when she's with that client. And she can therefore go ahead and complete this direct debiting agreement. The client would sign down here in the darkened space, and that agreement is there set in concrete.
So Mark,
Yes, Chantel?
with that, the customer has to be with you.
No, you can actually also email them a copy of this, so I can provide an electronic link to this agreement.
Yeah, so then they've got to fill it out by themselves again, because that's the issue. The form has to be filled out by them or physically with them.
Yeah, yeah, either A or B, correct. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Good question you made there, Chantel. And I'm working with a registered training organisation at the moment in Sydney, and they've got 50 different courses, 50 different amounts. So what I've actually done is designed a separate direct debit agreement for each of them. Now, what I'd like to just mention to you here, you'll see detailed reporting. So what I've designed there is that I issue a user of this solution 2 emails every morning, Monday to Friday, and let's just use the same time zone. There's a number on different time zones, by 8 o'clock Queensland time every morning. And what it provides you 1 email with who's paid you last night, and also a second on who hasn't paid you. So the good thing being is that if with the latter, someone that hasn't paid you, if you're due to have a meeting with them that day or you have some follow-up with them, it's another agenda item you can talk to them about to get them to pay you the money that they owed you last night. Also, there was someone, Chantel, yes, you made the comment earlier. You mentioned about easy debit. No, Stripe not allowing you to make an initial payment, a once-off payment. If you have a client loaded on and using this solution in your business, you can collect a one-off payment from them as well. Also, you can also charge them, and this is what this variable charges to clients is how I've designed that is that you may be, as an example, let's use it, they may be paying off bad example, but I'll use it. Tara, they may be, let me just use the example that your caravan topper is $1,500 as an example. And let's just say they're paying that off and they've come to you and they want another one of your solutions and they want to pay that off as well. So that's what their variable charges to clients mean, is you can go ahead and bill them separately for an additional item that you're helping them with or selling to them, if that was the case. Okay. Now, I know 3 of you ladies are using Shopify, and I understand the reason why is because it's sort of use of a better word, it's an inventory management system as well. Unfortunately, this doesn't key in straight into Shopify, so it doesn't have that functionality there. Any questions regarding that solution? I have 3 more solutions to show you. Yeah?
I think that solution, I still love my direct debit solution. I think it works best though in the one-on-one consultancy type space where you're having that conversation. I don't think it works well digitally, as in sending it to someone to fill it out and complete it.
This here is also a very good example, and thanks for reminding me, Chantel. I don't know if there's anyone listening into this particular call or watching it later that is in the business consulting space. I had a particular client selling, he was a business consultant based in Sydney, selling training courses for $5,000. So what was happening with him, he came to me and said, Mark, I don't know what's going on. And what was happening is that one month he'd get 200 people come to him and each of them would say to him, hey, Stephen, I'll save up the $5,000 and I'll come back and contact you once I've got $5,000 saved up. So what I suggested to him to do is, as an example, I said, right, let's ask that person if they can pay a one-off, say, sum of $1,000 up front. It then takes 8 months for them to complete his course. So then get that person to pay him $500 a month for the next 8 months. And as a result of that sort of sales system, he's now increased his cash flow by over 90%. So it's just a way, and that's another way that I think if we go through a recessionary time, it's something we've got to be more clearer and perhaps look at adopting something similar in that way. If you ladies have no questions regarding that direct debiting solution, I'll now move on to my solution within Xero accounting software.
I'll make a comment with regards to that one, in that it is awesome for flexibility with that. So I have had a couple of clients where if they've had a bit of financial hardship, even though the payment plan was this amount over this amount, then I can go in and I can restructure it so that it can be more suitable for those clients. So that's the benefit of that. And also if they come back to you in a couple of years' time, if they've got that account, you literally can just go back in and just reactivate it. So I do find that quite user-friendly. The only thing is I don't like the fact that it's not that digital. It's not very good for that sort of use. And the only other thing that I'm not a fan of is that you can go into your bank and stop it and they won't do anything about it. So that unfortunately, so, you know, it happens probably at least once or twice a year, but in saying it, those people I don't end up wanting to work with, and they're not the type of clients who are actually going to listen or appreciate the work that I do. So it's kind of like the trash taking care of itself when that happens. But it probably will happen to me once or twice a year, which even though they've signed a contract, if they've stopped it at the bank, there's no power from the direct debit system.
That's right. Thank you, Chantal. Okay, of you ladies who actually uses Xero, you can just show your hand. Two. Okay, and perhaps carry on. Thank you. So this is a solution that I've designed within Xero. So I think Chantal may have alluded to this. So what I provide that little Pay Now tab there. So when you actually email this invoice out to a client, they can actually click on that Pay Now tab, and it brings up these options for them to pay you from a credit card, debit card, bank account. And then what I've now added is VPay. Why I've added VPay to it is because what I was getting is I was getting feedback from businesses who were using this, and they were getting people saying, oh, I want to pay by credit card, but I've suffered credit card fraud recently. I don't feel safe. So I've set up VPay as an option here for that reason, that a client can still pay you from their credit card, but it gives them a little bit more security, if you want to call it that way. This solution, like everything else I've shown you, also gives you the ability to on-forward the transaction cost to your clients automatically. Now, the other thing too is also here is, I think Chantel alluded to it a little earlier, that if you're issuing the same example, $660 invoice to a client each week, fortnight, month, 6 monthly, quarterly, whatever it may be, is that I can set up a direct debiting system within Xero for you for that invoice to make it more time and cost effective for you as well. Any thoughts on that solution?
I would like to know the transaction costs.
Okay. If, once again, it is 99 cents per payment from a bank account and 2.1% from your from a credit card. If you, as a business, transact $1,300 a month of transactions processed through this, there is no monthly cost as well. So in that example, you're doing $1,300 of credit card payments through here successfully, passing on the costs. This is zero, as the name suggests. No pun intended. So there's no cost for that solution.
And just to let you ladies know, it's really a weird thing, but some of my tradies have set up the feature where you can integrate Stripe, which is very similar to what Mark's talking about here. And it says if you push this button, you're going to pay this extra, and people still push that button and pay the extra. So they, what's happening is their invoices are getting paid quicker, and now they're not absorbing the costs anymore. Because most people go, oh, I'll log into my bank account later to pay you. Now they go, oh, I'll pay through Stripe. It's just easier. Yeah, I'll just pay the 2%.
Yeah. So this is also good too, is what you can do. You could open up this invoice while you're with a client on your tablet or your iPad, and you can actually email it to them straight away, and they click on there and pay you straight away. So there's real no need to have an FPOS terminal if you're using this. Okay, I'd like to now introduce you to, this is my online. So a little bit of scenario about here. You'll see you're actually looking at an immigration law officer's website. This is a payment solution I've only recently set up for this business in Melbourne. This business came to me and said, hey, Mark, I'm using PayPal and Stripe. Two things, it's killing me financially, as in fees, and also from a cash flow perspective as well. So this is what I call my hosted payment page. So if someone is wanting to pay them, and the other benefit of what I'm about to show you too, is that if you're someone who is accepting countless payments over the phone, then if you had an FPOS terminal, you get RSI in the fingers pretty quickly. This is something here which you can have on your website to help you accept that in a more streamlined process. Just helping a charity at the moment with this same solution to make it easier for them to accept donations. So as it says, invoice amount, name, email, their address, and just down here on the left, this hasn't been updated yet, but I'm actually cheaper than that now. I'm coming in at around about 2.1%. So the Stripes of the world, and the PayPals, I've seen them as high as 4%, 3%. They seem to vary. Also seen them down around about 1.75. I come out now at about 2.1. So with this example you're looking at the moment, you hit proceed, they hit proceed, and it takes them to page 2, which gives them the card CCV and expiry. So it's a very, funds go into your account next business day. So that's where it improves your cash flow situation.
Is that form can you customize that form?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I'm just working at the moment with the charity. The charity wants an extra tab in there. Yeah.
Does this integrate with can it integrate with something like Zapier or ActiveCampaign, like your email platforms?
It can. What happens there? I just have to get. We would send the payment link to your web developer, and your web developer would just do the integration to what ActiveCampaign. That's an example. Yeah, it's helped before. Yeah.
Yeah. Cool.
Okay. Who? Just a show of hands. Do any one of you, whether personally or in your business, need to transmit money overseas regularly? Okay. Thank you. Okay. Rightio. I'm about to show you my latest cab off the rank, I'm going to call it. So 9 months ago, I was getting continuous calls from people saying, Mark, I am sick and tired of dealing with the banks for my overseas payments. They're ripping me off in fees and also with the exchange rate. So what I've now done is I've now partnered with a company called TorFX, which is situated here on the Gold Coast. So my background with Westpac, I spent 10 years or so in foreign exchange in the dealing room in Sydney as well as in Brisbane. And where TorFX provide a more efficient service for you is that what they do is they provide you another portal. So Tara, let's use you as the example. Let's say we're now on a Saturday afternoon and you think, oh no, I meant to send those US dollars to my supplier in China, let's use China, yesterday, Friday. If I don't do that now, we won't get those goods in by the time we need them. So what you can do, you can actually log into your portal on your device there and then and arrange the transaction. So what's the benefit that TorFX provide over the banks? Quite simply, competitive exchange rates. I won't mention the charity. There's a well-known charity through BX Networking here on the Gold Coast that they were using a bank, and a particular person came to me on Friday and said, Mark, can't thank you enough. TorFX have saved us over 90 grand in 1 year in the foreign exchange rates that they provided us as opposed to what the bank did. What you also get is a personal service from a dedicated account manager. So that basically means, Tara, you could go to your contact in TorFX and say, hey, I've got 4,000 US dollars I need to send. I don't need to send it today, but by next week, what's happening? When am I best in transacting that money? And how about no transfer fees for the transfer as well? Last thing I'll say, I'm also working with another company called Merchant Warrior, which is based in Brisbane. I'm working with them at the moment to, I've had many people come to me and say, hey, Mark, we'd really like to transact in crypto. So at the moment, we're designing ways of businesses accepting crypto for payment of services. Merchant Warrior is also another provider of solutions outside what I've shown you today. So if there's something outside what I've shown you, I have no doubt I would have a solution through Merchant Warrior to help. That is me, ladies. That is what keeps me out of mischief. Any questions for me?
Yeah, thanks so much, Mark. Do you ladies have any questions, with regards to your own business and what you're using? And I know it's just like another thing to think about. It's like, oh, there's so many choices, and which way do you go? And because in my mind, I would like just one. I'd like one thing that I just use. But it just hasn't been like that. Like even myself, we've got Zero, Stripe, and Easy Debit. So we've got three systems that we use. Three systems that we use, and we haven't been able to find one system that does it all. So, but with you ladies being in e-commerce, it certainly is different to what I would need to use. So,
Mark, if you don't mind, I will just ask, with the TorFX, does that work Like, do you need to pay a monthly subscription to access that service, or how does it work as opposed to working with the bank?
Yeah, not at all, Tara. Good question, Tara. There's no monthly subscription cost there at all. So in other words, what I do on your behalf is I contact TourFX on your behalf and say, hey, Tara is sending, let's use $5,000 US to China a month, as an example, a month. And what they'll then do, Tara, is they'll come to you and what they will do is they'll keep your bank honest. So what they will do is they'll say to you, hey, Tara, this is what we can do to save you time and money. And I'm going to stick my neck out there. I'd be very, very surprised if they cannot save you both. So, as I know, I don't want to put a bigger target on my back than what's on there by the banks now. But what I will say quite simply, Tara, is that TourFX are more so about working with a business. And what I love about their whole ideology on how they do business, it really resonates with me, because why I am in business is quite simply to save business clubs and associations money. Is I know if I do, it's going to obviously make it a bit easier on cost of living pressures that we're all experiencing now. So the worst case scenario, Tara, the only cost to you is your time with a call from TourFX.
Okay, I'd definitely be interested. We've obviously very new to this, but the manufacturer is in China, so we're paying in US dollars, and we're finding now, just this latest where I've made this final payment, considerable amount of money, the exchange rate has really hurt us. And the bank fees aren't excessive. Like, we're with CommBank and I think it's $6 per transaction, and they're not regular payments. I've got a down payment and then a large sum at the end of the production. So that's not so much an issue, but if there's anything we can do going forward,
absolutely,
with the exchange rates, I think that will be a real big one for us.
Tara, have you ever heard of the terminology forward exchange contract? You ever heard of that terminology? Okay.
No.
Chantal, we're good for time still?
Oh yeah, look, we've gone over, but if you want to keep talking, okay, everyone can go.
Tara, this is a bit of my for each of the four of you. As I said, my background is banking and finance. So what a forward exchange contract is, quite simply, Tara, is that you could go, as an example, to TourFX once you've got a contract, and you could say to them, hey, TourFX, I know I have to pay $15,000 US to China on the, let's go, 10th of November. So roughly 3 months away. So you can contact them right now, and what they can do, Tara, they can give you what rate they could do the transfer for you in November. So what's the benefit of that for you? Quite simply is that when yourselves in your business, you know what pricing you need to price your goods at. Because at the moment, no disrespect to you and your business or anyone on the call, you only know what you know. So, when I dealt with clients at that bank, I better not mention who they are. Was in Commonwealth, by the way, Tara. But the benefit of for something like that is it enables you to get a really good gauge on what your profit's going to be for that shipment or that order. Because if you know now that you're going to be at point whatever it is in November, it just makes it so much easier for you to budget your business and to work out all your costings. At the moment, you have no idea what that's going to cost you in November at this stage.
No, that's the difficult thing. Very hard to budget with such massive variations. And with the economy being so unpredictable at the moment, I think it's really hit me that this is going to be one of the biggest variables for us going forward. So it's something I need to learn more about, for starters, and I need to actively try and lessen the blow from those fluctuations so that we can budget better.
Yeah. I've just written myself a note here, so I'll just abbreviate that for FEC, so forward exchange contract. So I'll get them to talk to you about what that is and the benefit to you and your business in using that as well. And they can go ahead and explain that to you as well.
I think that's awesome. I know of a client recently where they actually turned down it was a $500 order, which was really big for her starting out. Turned down the order because the price had gone up of what she used to make that order, and she just said it wasn't worth it anymore because what she'd quoted, and then the price had gone up of what she was doing. There was going to be no money left in it, so she had to turn that order down. I've got another business on the Sunshine Coast. They've just closed their whole business because they said, the inconsistencies in postage. There was no lock-in rate with the postage, and I know Carrie-Anne's got a good postage solution, but the variables in the postage was just making it too hard for them to actually continue to post stuff. So, but in saying that, the problem as well was that it was small little things. It was tiny little things. So if you're buying that for $2 and it's going to cost you $7 to postage, there's no point. So yeah. But yeah,
it doesn't so much with what I've just explained about Tor FX. The relationship I have with them is that they will help anyone, whether they're selling little things or not.
well, that's what I was going to ask you. My next question was, for example, if I'm paying my VAs, and I'm paying my VAs at the Philippines, I'm paying through PayPal, and that's costing me $4 per transaction. So, it's not a lot of money. Well, it is, but it's, it's not $15,000 for stock,
Yeah, probably, Chantel, it doesn't matter, because what they'll do is that fee will be waived, so there'll be no fee in transferring money over to VAs and also on the exchange rate. And what it'll mean is it means, a saving now in 1 month, if you annualize that, you think, well, what can I, I'm sure you can do a few other things. Maybe buy some more tubes to use on the creek.
Yeah, another tube. Because I know that if I let them pay the fee, they lost 10%. If I said that I was sending them payment through PayPal, then they would have to pay an additional 10% in charges. The other problem that I had is they want to be paid in US dollars.
Yeah, that's
then
okay.
get converted into
Pesos, Philippine
pesos.
Yep.
But I was getting screwed, and the variable was too much all the time. So we had to just agree on an Australian rate, because 1 week it was this and the other week it was that. And it was like, can't do that.
Just for privacy, both Tara and Chantel, I'll just contact you privately just to find out what amounts you're sending and frequency. And that will then enable me to contact 4FX for both of you.
Yeah, awesome. Mark, do you just want to say how people can contact with you just before we end this recording? We can talk afterwards. But
ladies and gentlemen, just quickly, I hope one thing you may have learnt this afternoon is there are no dumb questions in my world. This is the new world we're now doing business in. So there are ways of saving money in your business. And one tip I'd like to give you that I haven't mentioned this afternoon is, if you have not done an annual review of subscriptions in your business, please do so. Because even $30 a month, there's $400 a year that could go towards your electricity bill or your rates. So please do that. Contact me anytime. No dumb questions. So my mobile number is 0419 762 478. My web address is obviously www.costlesspaymentsolutions.com, and my email address is mark.grant@costlesspaymentsolutions.com. The other benefit I would give you in dealing with me is that you can take time out of your day to go to your bank. You suddenly turn up at the bank for a 2 o'clock appointment, and you're sitting there looking at your watch at 5 to 3, and you still haven't seen the bank. So what I do is I make life easy for you in doing business. This is how we do business. I even help complete the application forms as well. So, Chantel, that is me.
Thank you. Before I push stop to the recording, I am going to add something to that, in that I don't actually get VIP guests onto like my direct network. and I don't believe in bringing people in to sell to my tribe. But Mark is one of the nicest dudes you'll ever meet. And he has a solution, and even if he isn't the solution, he will still help you find a solution. And that is why I have invited him into my VIP masterminds. You'll notice I don't bring guests in.
And probably just quickly, the other thing I'll say too quickly is regarding finance. I don't want to show of hands or anything, but if you have a home loan or an investment loan or a business loan, and you've got those either from a bank or a broker, if you have not heard from your broker in the last 12 months, make a point of contacting your bank or your broker. There's another way of saving money.